What's up YouTube, Del here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you an update to Yubel. Now, as a disclaimer, this doesn't involve any Themes-Smith whatsoever. The deck can still be played with Themes-Smith post the most recent Forbidden and Limited list, but I quite like playing Yubel as a, I wouldn't really want to call it pure option because it does involve more Unchained than usual, but it is pretty much just 2 Shavara, 1 of the trap card of your choosing, and then more of the extra deck space being utilised with that. The card that really makes this deck really kind of tick a little bit more is the fact that you utilise Super Polymerization with Yubel the Loving Defender Forever, which has just received a Starlight print in the Megatin, so it should be a lot easier to get hold of as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the profile, show you what we've got, explain why we've got it, and then also talk you through some alternative options if there are some cards that I show you here that you don't have access to at home. I'd actually say the deck is very budget friendly because the most expensive card that was left over that didn't get a reprint recently was Nightmare Throne, and that is also in the Megatin. So bar getting a hold of a Phantom of Yubel, which you should now all be able to get a hold of because of the OTS pack of last time, it's actually really easy to put together, and the deck's still really good. So you're going to be starting off with 2 Spirit of Yubel. Now you need to be a little bit careful with the amount of Yubel monsters you play themselves, and what I mean by that is your high level Yubels being 1 more Yubel and 1 more Terra Incarnate. Now there's always a temptation to play the Unending Nightmare, which you can very easily do. What that really gives you is it just gives you another one of them edges of your opponent goes, oh well, Terra Incarnate leaves the field, I haven't got to worry about its effect, and you go, actually, yeah you do. That's the benefits. The downside of it is you're adding another brick into the deck. Yes, of course, you can put it back into the deck to get you into Phantom, but that's only going to be so good if you have multiple Phantoms, but unfortunately we only have 1. So you do need to be a little bit careful when you're trying to balance the ratios on this one like here, but it really does come down to personal preference. Then you're going to be playing 3 of your ideal starter, but again, not the best starter because we do play Dark Beckoning Beast, which is technically a Yubel card by now. But you're going to be playing 3 Samsara D Lotus. Again, got a very nice upgrade in the Megatins going to an Ultra. Would have loved to see it get Secret Rare treatment as well, but you know, I'll take it. Then we've got 2 Gruesome Grey Squirmer. You can play Foolish Burial in the place of the second one, but again, it's also never the end of the world if you hard open up one of these, because then it means you don't need to rely on getting direct access or trying to search it. And if you do already hard open up one, you can search up a 1 for a follow-up, you can go for a Samsara D Lotus instead. It kind of works as you need it, because it's still an extender no matter what. And then for the other Yubel cards, 1 Nightmare Pain and 1 Mature Chronicle. The reason I really like Mature Chronicle in this is because, as mentioned, I'm playing Super Polymerization. So not only can Mature Chronicle search for Super Polymerization, but it also gives you the ability to get a little bit more resilience depending on if your opponent is trying to out certain cards. This is a 41 card deck, so if you wanted to cut it out completely, you could do, but then I do also advise playing maybe a second Nightmare Pain, as sometimes that will come up, and rather than playing 2 Nightmare Pain, I quite like the option of playing a 1 and a 1, just because this gives me a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more versatility depending on what else I want to try and get to. Then 3 of the Nightmare Throne. This is, like I've said, most recently been reprinted as a, I believe it's a Secret Rare in the Megatins, so you should be able to pick these up relatively cheaply, and a Terraforming because you want to be able to play as many copies as you are legally allowed to of Nightmare Throne, so technically 3 plus 1, and then this is also going to include as your extenders because it lets you add a 0/0 Fiend, so that's going to get you to your starters in the form of the Dark Beckoning Beast, but can also get you to Samsara D Lotus, Grey Squirmer, and, not that you ever really want to go for it, but you can do, your Chaos Summoning Beast. Now the reason we're playing the Chaos Summoning Beast in this one is because your Dark Beckoning Beast cannot search itself. So being able to go Dark Beckoning Beast on its own, search out Gates, Gates searches out the Chaos Summoning Beast, then you've got the additional summon, but then of course in the ideal scenario you go Gates, search out Dark Beckoning, and then rather than having to search out another Gates, you just search out a Chaos Summoning Beast, and that's your additional normal summon, and then you use your Link to into Yama. So it gives you a little bit more versatility. That is the 41st card deck, which is the brick, which is why you probably don't want to add Unending Nightmare to this on top of it, but again, entirely up to you as personal preference, because 42 cards isn't really going to make that big of a difference. Then 3 Gate of opening the Spirit Gates. Having this back at 3 is beautiful. The exact same with the Dark Beckoning as well. Then for the Unchained cards, 2 Shavara, and I'm playing the 1 Escaped, but you could pretty much change this around with Chamber if you want to. It really kind of comes down to your personal preference on it. I do like the idea of destroying my own Rage sometimes just to get that recycle of the Phantom of Yubel, but again, it's entirely up to you on that one. Chamber or Escaped, it really comes down to preference. So that's it for like the main deck. I don't think much of this changes if you want to play it this particular way. If you want to play Fiendsmith, you can cut down a Shavara. You could technically cut down the Dark Beckoning Beast package a little bit more, and you could adapt the hand traps I'm about to show you. So the hand traps you'll probably be playing regardless of which version you're going to be going with is Free, Ash Blossom, and Joyous Spring. Then, I'm on 2 DD Crow. Now, the reason I'm on 2 DD Crow and 3 Molchomi Fualos, apologies for different sleeves, but these are currently in my Drekatail deck, so I want to kind of make sure I put them back in the right place, is I'm just a massive fan of this card right here, and I'm just a massive fan of Dominus Impulse. Now, I know this is not cheap and easy for a lot of people to get hold of because it's still like £25 to £30 as a reprint, but it's entirely up to you. If you don't have access to this, you've got Infinite Impermanence. It is the Fiendsmith package should you want to, as this does clash with the Fiendsmith package. And the reason I got DD Crows is because I'm trying to stay within the realms of the attributes I'm going to use for the Dominus Impulse. You don't have to, of course, but it's just one less thing to worry about when you're like, oh, did I activate Dominus Impulse from the hand? Can I then still activate Droll? Can I still activate Ghost Spell? It just kind of cuts that all out. And then when you go into your side deck, that's when those dedicated hand traps like Droll, like Nibiru, like Ghost Spell can come in this place. And then 3 Super Polymerization and 2 Forbidden Droplets, as I've got that balance of hand traps and breakers. So I've got the ability for going second, draw into all the cards I need, but then my breakers also get utilized as go first cards that can be set and then be disruptive during my opponent's turn as well. So I like the balance between all of this, as it gives you what you need. So that's it for the entire main deck. Now to show you the extra deck. Now, why I love Super Poly in this deck is that technically Yubel has the best Super Poly target in the entire game, being Yubel, the Loving Defender Forever. So having a fusion monster that can be utilized with Super Polymerization that basically says 1 Yubel monster and then as many effect monsters on the field as possible is just a complete field wipe. You might want to keep one of your opponent's monsters on the field so that they're forced to attack this card and then they do the rest of the damage, but then this also has additional burn damage on top. So I really do like Yubel, the Loving Defender. I think he's a great target. The other Super Poly targets you play are just the generics if you can't get a Yubel monster to the field, being the Garura and the Mud Dragon. Then moving on to the other one, being Phantom of Yubel. Please, can we have this back to 2? I doubt it, but it'd be really cool if it did happen. The XEs, we're on the 1, Varudras. It's kind of a little bit more of a win more option, but it is one of the ones that if you're ending your field, you can end your field on monster negations, but you can't end your field on an Omni Negate unless you go into the Varudras. To go into Varudras, you need to make sure you maintain your resource without fiend locking yourself, and you kind of need to go around a little bit, but it's still a really good card to end your field with. And then the 1 Superstar Slayer Typhon, you don't have to play it, but again, it's one of the ones where if you get a Yubel on the field and then you have any other monster that Typhon can go on top of, it then still means that Typhon negates all of your opponent's high attack monsters and then still forces them to attack Yubel, so they can't even just attack the Typhon and get rid of it. Then for the Link monsters, this is where the Unchained come into play. So for the Unchained package, I've got 2 Yamas, backed up by the 1 Rage, the 1 Anguish, and the 1 Abomination. So Abomination is going to be your Mac Daddy. Now, I'm highly considering playing 2 Rages rather than 2 Yamas, but that's still something I need to kind of play around with a little bit. And the reason I'm thinking that is I like the option that Rage can get me into Anguish. I'm going, like, technically not if you're going, you'd have to go into Anguish first, and then they would have to pass the turn. You go, cool, Anguish gets me into Abomination, and that gets rid of 2 of your opponent's monsters. But more times than not, you can go into an Abomination if your opponent's got a Link 2 on the field, but you can also work your way into an SP Little Knight, and another card that I quite like the idea of right now is the Gorgon or Zelophenia. I think this is another nice option that your Rage can go into, being a Dark monster, and again, you can see that I'm playing with the Dark attributes, and then attributes that don't clash specifically with the Dominus Impulse. I've then got the 1 Almirage and the 1 Muckraker. These are basically just your utility cards. The idea behind the Almirage is Dark Beckoning Beast, turn into the Almirage, and then if you've got gates, you can discard, bring back the Dark Beckoning Beast, and you've got your 2 monsters on the field. Unfortunately, Almirage is not a fiend, so you'd have to go into Muckraker, but if you do get 2 fiends to the field, you go into Unchained Soul. More times than not, what you're doing is you're trying to put the Dark Beckoning Beast in the grave so that you can then discard a Yubel monster to then revive the Yubel monster off the back of the opening the Spirit Gates. And that's pretty much it for the entire profile. Very straightforward, very direct, very to the point. There is a little bit of flexibility if you want to. Like, you don't need to go as heavy with the Unchained cards if you don't want to. I just quite like the flexibility that it does provide you. I also like the option that you open up for a few more hand traps, and then just personal bias to being able to play Dominus Impulse and Super Poly, which are like, you know, Impulse is probably one of my favorite modernized cards that we've received in the past like year or so. And I just love the whole Dominus kind of esque what they are, like Purges, Impulses. Even the brand new one, Spiral, I think is a really kind of cool card and a bit underrated if you don't play a Light and Dark deck. Like if you're playing a dedicated Light and Dark deck, and you always will do, then you're not going to touch it. But if you like decks that aren't always dedicated Light, so stuff like Tomb Keepers, stuff like Trap Tricks is also a really kind of cool one. If you did want to spice it into something like Mermals or anything else that isn't dedicated a Light or a Dark deck, it would be a really, really cool addition. So that's it for the entire profile. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, please let me know in the comments down below. I am always happy to answer them where able. But that's it for the Yubel one. As a note, I do want to be picking up a secret rare version of this one, so I will try and pick up some secret rare versions on Nightmare Pain, because I do like Yubel to look extra shiny, because I just think Yubel is a really, really fun and powerful deck. I felt that it kind of got a little bit stale when the Fiendsmiths came in. Like, I still feel that you were probably a little bit crazy if you had the capability to play the Fiendsmiths to not play the Fiendsmiths, but for me, it kind of got a little bit samey. Whereas just going back to the pure version like this, I just have a lot more fun with, if I'm being completely honest. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.